Welcome to this series of webinars and tutorials on the Zultys product line of business phone systems. This video will show you how to use the basic features of the MXIE desktop computer application so that you're ready to start using it. This video assumes you have already installed and done the basic configuration as described in the Quick Start installation video. Unless specified, everything I'm showing here will work the same on Macintosh as it does on Windows. So here's the default configuration of MXIE. You can then go ahead and move the window around. You can resize it. You can change the position of these window panes, whatever way makes the most sense for you to use your system, whatever works. And then as you move them around, the next time you quit and then relaunch MXIE, MXIE will remember the way you had it laid out. So let's start by adding a few addresses in the buddy list that will help in the demo here. Go ahead and click on the address book. So the address book comes up docked in MXIE. Let me go ahead and just move it up. Now I can either do that and make it a freestanding window by clicking this icon here, or simply clicking and expanding it up here. So now I have a freestanding window, or I could dock it. So whichever way makes the most sense. So we have our directories. So we've got the MX directory. This is the directory that will have all of your employees in the system as soon as they're added automatically. You can resize this window here to make it a little easier to resize the columns. So we have the directory, we have buddy lists, we have a speed dial list. Speed dial list is a list that everybody has access to, and you can have a local address book. Local address book can be a CSV import on both Windows and Macintosh. And if you're running Windows, one of the few differences that we have with Windows is you can go to the File menu here in Windows and go to Preferences, and you can add the Outlook integration for a Microsoft Outlook if you're using Microsoft Outlook. This works with the 32-bit version of Outlook, but when you do that, you now enable MXIE to have access to your Outlook contacts, both for call lookup, caller ID lookup, as well as the quick dial field so that you can do a search for all of your contacts. While we're here in preferences, there's a couple of other preferences that you'll probably want to go ahead and set. If you go to the application window and you're running Windows, then you'll have this Microsoft Office Unified Communications. When you click this, if you're running Microsoft Office 2010 or later, you'll now enable those applications to take advantage of the phone system to be able to make calls or instant message or number of features of the phone system. And there's no reason not to do that if you're running Office 2010. And this will work with any Office application, Microsoft Outlook or SharePoint, any application where you have names. And then the last thing that you want to take a look at probably here is the device access policy. And we covered this in the Quick Start tutorial. But if you're going to manage your multiple calls using MXIE or the phone, you can just specify which way you want to have it set up. Most people will probably want to manage that with MXIE. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. I have the addition of the Outlook contacts. So we have all of those address books available to us to use. And we can go ahead and add users to our buddy list by simply clicking and dragging. So I could grab names here. I could do a search up here. I can just simply add buddy lists by either dragging down in here. You can see that I've added it. I can also drag here to the buddy list right here. So it's very easy to add items to the buddy list by simply clicking and dragging. And we can also add them manually by either right-clicking here in the buddy list where you can create a new entry or create a group so you can group buddies together. And you can also do that down here by right-clicking, and you can create a group or create a new entry. And this is another way of adding to the buddy list. So now that we have a few buddies there in the buddy list, let's start talking about how you can make and receive calls. So we can make and receive calls a number of ways with our system. We make it very easy to do that. One way to do that would be to simply go here to the voice call button, go ahead and click this, and you can enter in somebody's number. You can go to previously dialed numbers. You can go to the address book and pick anybody here in your address book, any of those address books. We can go ahead and simply call and then call that person by clicking the button there. So one way of making a phone call. Another way of making a phone call would be to do from this quick dial field right here. So this is the quick dial field. I can go ahead and start typing, and as I type, I can go ahead and I see the numbers here. I can go ahead and either double click, or if I single click and there are other numbers here, I can send it to a mobile number, or I can send an instant message. Very easy to do. We could also call from the buddy list. So I could simply click in, I can either right click here, make a call into any of those numbers, or if I want to, I can just click and drag. And if you notice here when you right click, we also have another way of, we can send them an instant message, we can look at the text message history, send them an email, voicemail, fax. So a number of features here that we have in the system. But to make a call, I can also just simply click and drag. So I drag in here into this area, and then that's making a phone call. So again, very easy to make phone calls. So that's making a phone call. Show you how to receive a phone call. So I'm going to go ahead here and call from one of the other people. And so this is what the incoming call looks like. I see the call appearance show up here. I can double click anywhere in this blue area. I could click on this answer icon here. If I didn't want to talk to the person, I could transfer the person to another line, or I can actually call from this pop-up here. Then I can go here or just pick up the handset. All of those ways work. So that's making a phone call, receiving a phone call with the system. And now that we're on a phone call, we actually have some other choices here that we can take a look at. So we have a timer. If you're hands-free on the phone, you're using speakerphone or headset, then you can certainly click that to disconnect the call. You can put the call on hold, retrieve the call off of hold, park the call, pick up the call. You can transfer the call, the one way of doing a transfer, and you can also record the call if you have that licensed ability and that feature turned on for you. And one of the unique features of our call recording is if you have that, you can record the entire conversation, even all the way back from the beginning. So that's making a call and receiving a call. Now, in addition to making a phone call, I can actually also send an instant message. So I can do that a couple of ways. I can go ahead and right click here. I can send an instant message, or there's a shortcut in the preferences to double click, and this is where you can say, you can ask a question, you can respond to, have somebody look something up for you, you can see if they're available to take a phone call, and then they can respond back. So very easy to send an instant message, receive an instant message right here from the system. So you can see here that you can have your presence set, and you can see the D is available, and there's even a note associated with D. And you can set your presence by simply going up here, selecting the item here. You can say if you're available or not available, and you can have a note here as well. So this now will let other people see in your company what your presence and status is. So very easy to set that up and do that. So let me show you another example of receiving a phone call and then maybe doing some call transfers. So here I'm going to be receiving a phone call, and I can answer the phone any of those ways. And now what I want to do is I want to transfer the call. So we can actually do that a couple of different ways. We can click the transfer button here. You can enter the number, you can go to previously dialed numbers, you can go to your address book, pick a number here as well. And then you can go ahead and just click that and transfer. We do a normal blind transfer to the other person, but maybe what you want to do is you want to transfer straight to the person's voicemail. So you can do that obviously if you're doing that with someone within the phone system, and to do that you simply click here and transfer directly to the voicemail. Now, MXIE is also very drag and drop friendly, so you can do this also from the interface here. We can simply click and drag. Let's say this call was going to be transferred to Anna, so I can go ahead and just click and drag and then drop on Anna, and then the call will be just forwarded to Anna. Now if I hold the control key down, then when I do that, then I have the additional ability when I let go to transfer to their regular line, their mobile number, or it can send it straight to voicemail on a drag, just a click and a drag and drop. So if I wanted to make a supervised transfer, and that's where I'm actually want to talk to the person first instead of just transferring the call out, I can very easily do that from MXIE as well. So I'm going to do a supervised transfer to Cal. And with that, I'm going to I can right click and call that way, or I'm just going to go ahead and drag and drop. When I do that, it automatically puts the first call on hold. You can hear the other phone ring there. So it automatically puts the first person on hold. You can then talk to the other person here. I'm talking to Cal. You want to accept the call. We can actually do a couple of things here. I can either just hit the enter key right now, or I can go here, right click, and then transfer the call to Cal directly. So again, very easy to do those kinds of transfers, and it would just send it off. So whether you want to do a supervised transfer or a blind transfer, again, very easy to do that with MXIE. So we have visual voicemail. That's right here. And with our visual voicemail, you have a unified communication system that collects your voicemail, call recordings, and faxes. So we can go here to the inbox. This would be your list of voicemails that are in the system. I can either double click and it will play the message through my computer speakers, or if I want, I can click this and it will play the message through my bound device. So if you want a little privacy in listening to your voicemail messages, you can just do that. Or I could right click and I can play the message. I can play it through the bound device. And I have some other features here. I can forward it to somebody else. I can save it as a WAV file to disk. Or you can call the person back right here from voicemail. And the same thing with call recordings. So if there were any call recordings, they would show up here. And if I had any faxes, then they would show up here as well. So being able to take a look at faxes and call recordings right here in the unified messaging client. So we have a call log as well. And so the call log will be a record of calls that you've made, calls coming into you, and you can tell by looking at them which direction it was. So you can see if you made the call or you received the call, and the call came in, the date and time stamp, who it was. You can even then right click and call the person back right here. And if you notice the MXIE windows, in the MXIE window pane here, we can move the windows around. And if we drag it on top, you can actually have a tabbed interface. Or you could move the windows completely out, either by clicking this or by dragging up. And now we have it in a completely separate window. And again, MXIE will remember this layout the next time you go to launch the application and open the window. So this completes the MXIE Quick Start tutorial. You should now be able to use the most common features of MXIE. Please see the other tutorials for additional features and capabilities of our system. Thank you for watching.